Hey guys, my name is Karin. I'm the owner of Schatzhaus LLC, and I've been a wire wrapper for about 9 years now. I've sort of been like putting together and accumulating in my head like kind of a series of like moments in time almost throughout the wire wrapping process where I think that a lot of beginner and intro wire wrappers might be sort of fumbling and even getting like stressed out and maybe even walking away from the art form completely, and we don't want that. So I am going to start making a series of videos where I show you guys where I think those mistakes are happening, and then of course how to fix them. But before I get into that stuff, I want to take today to make a video where I answer a question that I see posted almost daily in the wire wrapping groups, which is, where do I start? What do I buy? What tools do I buy? What kind of wires do I buy? I see this question posted all the time, you guys. And so I just want to answer that so that everyone even like knows what they should have before I start making the other content so that you can already follow along when we're there. So I'm going to show you guys my everyday use tools, the tools that are absolutely must-haves, and then also the tools that just sort of make life a little bit easier. And then I'm going to show you my 3 favorite thickness and shapes of wires. While these wires can't be used for every single project, they have a wide range of applications. They can be used for pendants, rings, and earrings, and they're just a really, really good place to start. I forgot to mention, they are all going to be dead soft temper, so make sure that you look for that when you're buying these wires if this is what you decide you want. All right, let's get into it. All right, so here's a look at my little workstation and the tools that I use on a daily basis. These 4 here are absolutely necessary in a variety of your choosing, in addition to safety glasses. I never see anyone talk about safety glasses. As someone who has a background in chemistry, I'm here to tell you, you only get 2 eyeballs, okay? Even a seasoned wire wrapper cuts a wire every once in a while that flies directly into their face. Wear safety glasses. And then these tools over here just make life a little bit easier. And then we're going to look at the 3 thickness and shapes of wire that I recommend the most. All right, so this is my absolutely favorite pair of pliers. These are Xuron tweezer nose pliers, and you can use chain nose pliers. I have chain nose pliers, but I really like these tweezer nose because of how thin and narrow they are. They can get into everywhere. You will absolutely need a pair of flush cutters to cut your wire. Make sure that if you are cutting stainless steel or if you're cutting really thick gauge wires, like thicker than like 16 or 14 gauge, that you get flush cutters that are specifically for cutting those wires. Otherwise, you're going to break your flush cutters. You will need a pair of flat nose pliers to clamp down your wrapped wires, as well as you can use them to straighten out wires. I really like these ones from Parawire because they have these sort of plastic inserts instead of metal. You can actually change them out after they need to be changed. You can see mine really need to be changed out. But these are really great because they don't leave nicks and gouges in your wire, whereas metal ones would do that. These are round nose pliers. This one actually is called the Little Looper. It's also from Parawire. It sort of has this kind of indented side that fits along the jaw. That's the tapered round side, but round nose pliers will work just fine for making loops and swirls. These are bracelet making pliers. Now, I know what you might be thinking. I'm not going to make bracelets, so I don't need bracelet making pliers. Well, I'm here to tell you they work excellent for making pendant frames for stones that have rounded edges, like teardrops, ovals, and circular cabochons. They're just like the flat nose pliers, except one side is rounded out and one side is rounded in, and you can actually use them to shape your frame around your stone. Called a pin vise. It has 2 ends that look like that. You can actually put your square wire in here, and then you just rotate this and you have twisted square wire. It's a lot better than taking pliers and going like this, where you're moving your wrist this much and you're going to get yourself in trouble. Use a pin vise instead. It's really great and it's fast. And then last but not least, this is kind of my version of bail making pliers. Bail making pliers work just fine. This works great. You can also honestly use like a Sharpie or a pen, a paintbrush, anything that sort of has these rounded edges. But this one's good because it has different thicknesses. So you just take your bail once it's all straight, and then you put this right behind it, and then you can, you know, shape your bail around it, and you've got a really nice shaped bail. And then these are my favorite, my 3 favorite thickness and shapes of wires. To start off, this is the wire I like the most for framing or base wires. This is 20 gauge square. Now 20 gauge round is great too. There are applications for both. 18 gauge is great too, but 20 gauge holds its integrity, it holds its shape, but it is very easy to work, and it also is nice and thin, so it looks elegant. I will say you don't want to go any thinner than 21 gauge for a frame. I wouldn't personally, because it just loses its integrity and sort of collapses, but 20 gauge is really great. This is my favorite wrapping wire. So this is 21 gauge half round. You can see the top is round and the bottom is flat. This works great. Instead of trying to wrap round over your base wires, half round is really nice because of this flat side. It ends up sitting really nice and neat. And you can use your flat nose pliers to sort of like clamp it down after you wrap it. This is 21 gauge. I like it a lot for 20 gauge frame or base wires, and I still like it a lot for even 18 gauge base wires. And then this is my favorite weaving wire. This is 28 gauge round. I see a lot of people trying to start with 26 gauge round, and 26 gauge round is fine, but you can maneuver and pull 28 gauge round a lot easier without distorting your 20 gauge base wires. But it's not so thin that it's just going to break the first time you pull it. You can pull it quite tightly, actually. I really like 28 gauge round. I always recommend at least an 8 gauge difference between your weaving wire and your frame or base wires. I will say that even when I'm working with 18 gauge base wires, I still use the 28 gauge round for weaving. All right, guys, so now you should feel like you know what you should buy to even get started. Thank you so much for making it through that video. I know it was really long, okay? And the upcoming series I'm talking about that's going to cover like the techniques, they're not going to even be remotely that long, okay? I'm just going to show you like where that mistake is happening and what to do to fix it. But I just wanted to take this time today to show you guys this stuff and like what I think that you should buy to even get started. That way, like, one, like I said, you can follow along with the videos because you already have the things that you need. But 2, that you don't go out and like buy a bunch of stuff that you don't need and end up wasting money, because that's what I did when I started. I bought so much wire that was half hard. I didn't even know it was half hard. I bought tools I didn't need. It was just a mess, and it's a waste of money. So I hope now that everyone feels like they know exactly what they should have, how to get started, and then come back and make sure you join my group, Schatzhaus LLC on Facebook. That's where I'm going to be debuting the technique videos. All right, I'll see you there. Bye.